driving the move in the gold market right now is the fiscal instability worldwide. And we see that continuing. We see no government has really got a budget that's in check right now. There is a lot of money printing going on, and the spending continues. And people had a hope of that changing with Trump coming in and Elon coming in on the Doge group, but that all got thrown out pretty quickly, and the one big beautiful bill has proven that.
Hello everyone and welcome to another edition of Triangle Investor Interviews. I'm your host Lucian Valkovic, and before I announce my guest, just a reminder of a disclaimer. This interview and all my interviews are not a recommendation to buy or sell any shares, products or services. Always do your due diligence and consult with your financial advisor. My guest today is Robert Eckford, CEO of Rua Gold, an exploration company strategically focused on New Zealand as a jurisdiction. Robert, thank you for joining me today. You are for the first time in my show, so a warm welcome to you.
Thanks very much, Lucian. Nice to be here.
Thank you. We will start maybe with the gold market. With the gold market outlook, gold prices have climbed to over $3,300 per ounce in 2025, with forecasts like JP Morgan predicting more than $4,000 by 2026. What's fueling this rally, and how sustainable do you see it is given the global economic and geopolitical volatility?
Yeah, I look less at the geopolitical side. I find the geopolitical impact on gold prices very short term, and it reverts quite quickly. I think what's really driving the move in the gold market right now is the fiscal instability worldwide. And we see that continuing. We see no government has really got a budget that's in check right now. There is a lot of money printing going on, and the spending continues. And people had a hope of that changing with Trump coming in and Elon coming in on the Doge group, but that all got thrown out pretty quickly, and the one big beautiful bill has proven that. So by looking at all that and looking at the macro environment that we're in, I see more. People talk about gold appreciation, but at the end of the day, it really is all about currency devaluation. And if you keep printing and making more and more dollars or more and more euros, etc., you're just devaluing currency. And so all your real assets are rising. And that's where we see gold and a general commodity bull cycle around us. And so I see that continuing. Not to put a price on it, but I do see a year-on-year 20% gain in commodities and gold especially as this cycle continues.
That's a very good point. However, I would like to hear more of let's say, your take on 12 to 18 months time frame. Central banks are stockpiling gold. Investors' demand remains robust. How do you envision the gold market evolving over the next period, 12 to 18 months?
Yeah, and this is the period we'll look at is sort of where we sit today is hovering around the 3.3 to 3.5 mark in terms of a gold price. I see it pushing up to 4 and breaking through 4 pretty quickly. And until there's enough inflation and there's enough currency devaluation, I see it continuing up. So over the next 12 months, I'll see us breaking through 4, and by 18 months, I think we'll be sitting around a 4.4 mark this time next year and into next Christmas 2026.
Yeah, Rob, let's talk about your projects. With 95% control of the historic Reefton Goldfield, which produced over 2 million ounces of high grades. Can you explain how your hub and spoke strategy optimizes exploration and development in this region? And actually, can you give me a helicopter view of your project over there?
Totally, yeah. Rua Gold has been around for about a year and a half now, and as a public company at least. We were private back in 2019, and we started putting together these tenements that we hold today. And we went public in 2024 once we got a good critical mass of the Reefton district. And the Reefton Goldfield is in the South Island of New Zealand. It's these orogenic, really high-grade deposits, and as you said, it's already got past production there. There was a gold rush in New Zealand, hence why the town is called Reef Town. All these old-timers came out and found the gold reefs in New Zealand. They found outcropping quartz veins, and they followed them down, and they got 2 million ounces out the ground at grades up to 50 grams a ton, and that's a recovered produced grade. So we are talking really high grades in the gold space today. The average gold mine out there today is producing gold for less than 1 gram a ton. So we're at multiples of that, obviously, and that's what attracted me to the project. I'm not a geologist. I'm a finance guy, and I like building these gold mining companies. And what attracted me here was the high grade and the fact that no one's looked at this for the last 30, 40 years. So we've got a very underexplored area. We've managed to wrap up 95% of this whole Reefton Goldfield through a mix of early mover advantage, but also some M&A we executed on last year. And now we have this opportunity to uncover something that no one's looked at for the last half century, sorry. So we have two drills turning today. We're going to look to up that cadence to 3 drills in the near term and really uncover what Reefton has to offer. We've already hit high-grade intercepts, and you've got 2 styles of mineralization there. You've got gold, and it's really high-grade nuggety gold, and you see grades up to 1,900 grams a ton over a meter. And then you've got gold antimony style mineralization, and that's really important. Not that I'm a big antimony promoter here, but I think antimony is so important to have as a byproduct for us because it puts it right in the forefront of being a strategic metal. It helps with the permitting process, and it really is a strong economic byproduct to create offtakes or streams or something on for financing purposes.
Yeah, I've read the recent news release from your company, and you hit the nail on the head. I want to touch a little bit on this. How does this enhance the project's resource potential, and what's the next step for drilling?
So we've got a sort of a foot in both baskets right now. We believe that if we can find, and we've already found 500,000 ounces, we believe if we can find 1,000,000 ounces and we can prove out the critical mass of Reefton, we can go quickly into the study phase. The advantage that we have against our peers is New Zealand is in a world where they're really permissive, which means they want mines permitted really quickly. And so they've entered new legislation that's already enacted and it's actually being used today, where you can get a mine permitted in 6 months. It's the quickest in the world, and they're already using that. They've planned that 18 months ago before the rest of the world was talking about prioritizing projects and fast tracks and things like that. And so we're in this fortunate situation. We're in a jurisdiction where you can get a mine permit in 6 months. So we don't want to take the route of exploring this for 5 years and drilling out the entire district. We know there's a lot of gold there. There's a page in our investor presentation with these columns of historic mining and how they're all open at depth. And it doesn't take a geologist to see that the old timers could only go down 400 meters, and there's districts in our neighborhood less than 5 kilometers from our property. They've got mineralization down to 1,500 meters. But what sets us apart is that we can get the gold out, and in a really short time frame. We're not going to sit here for 5 years of permitting. We're going to drill really hard, prove up a resource, and go into the development stage as soon as we can.
Sounds like a good plan. You've integrated AI-powered targeting. That is a new AI tool. How is that reshaping your exploration approach, and what new targets are you prioritizing with this?
Yeah, when we entered the Reefton district, we had a huge amount of data. We'd been there, as I said, from 2019 to 2024. We were private, and so we collected up a huge amount of surface exploration work, structural mapping, oil sampling, all the important precursors to drilling. And then when we acquired our neighbor last year, we just tripled our land package and we took on all of their data from their 10 years of exploration. We had a data issue. We had so much information across a huge number of targets, and we had to have a ranking system. And that's where our Verify AI product came in, where we could sort through the data, put it all into this AI model, and look at the prospectivity. And it's nice because it's not a black box of AI. It's not like you're putting data in and you're getting something out and you don't know how it got there. What you see when you go through these AI products that we're using with Verify is that it tells you what is ranking each of these things, what is driving this as a high prospective target. So that means our geology team can go in and say, yep, that makes sense. It makes sense as there's high arsenic levels, so there must be high gold levels because they're known to correlate, or whatever the structural faulting looks like, then that makes sense. So there's a whole bunch of reasons why the AI should work and shouldn't work, but you need to be able to pull it out and understand what the AI is using. And it's great. I mean, I'm a early adopter of AI from this point of view. I don't think it's going to do the job for a geologist, but it definitely will process the data a lot quicker and bring up targets and rank targets a lot quicker than our geologists could do.
Exactly. The Glamorgan project on New Zealand's North Island is drill-ready project. You had some rock chip samples, pretty impressive. What's the drilling timeline, and how does this project complement your flagship project?
So Glamorgan is very different mineralization. In the South Island of New Zealand, you've got where Reefton Gold is, you've got these areas of narrow vein orogenic, really high grade gold and antimony style mineralization. In the North Island, you're in epithermal world, and so that's where the volcanoes are and the hot springs and things like that. And in these epithermal type deposits, you're talking about the Ring of Fire, you're talking about the huge sort of elephant deposits that are very rare in the world these days. And Japan and Papua New Guinea all have these huge gold deposits. And up there in the Coromandel in Hauraki Goldfield of New Zealand, you actually haven't seen anyone get in there except for Oceana Gold. Oceana Gold have the Wahi mine adjacent to us. It's 10 kilometers south, and it's already produced 10 million ounces of gold. So we know there's a lot of gold there. This district has already produced 15 million ounces of gold in total. And so really we've taken the nearology play with Glamorgan. It's drill ready. We've got the applications in. We expect to be drilling there in Q4 this year, but it's never seen a drill in its history on our tenement. And so we're adjacent to elephant-sized deposits. We're adjacent to Oceana Gold's Wharekirauponga, which is going into that 6-month permitting process in New Zealand. And so by the back end of this year, when we're actually ready to be drilling this, and we're forecasting to do that in November, we're expecting to be right next to a huge gold project that's under construction. So when you're going drill ready into New Zealand, and people have pre-misconceptions about what it's like mining in New Zealand, you can say, well, the guys next to us just got their permit last month and they're building the mine. So if there was ever a worry that New Zealand's not open for business, the government keep doing more and more to rest investors' worries and show that New Zealand is the number one jurisdiction out there right now. And importantly, actually, the Fraser Index came out yesterday as we record this on the 29th of July. The Fraser Index came out, and New Zealand's moved from somewhere in the plus 70s out of 85 countries in the Fraser Index. It's now 12 in the ranking of most attractive mining industry to be investing in right now. So New Zealand has had a huge turnaround, and we were first movers, and so that's where we've got this huge opportunity for shareholder value creation.
Definitely. You said you will start drilling in November. Do you have any early plans of how deep will you go, how many holes?
Yeah, these epithermals don't actually run very deep. We've submitted permits for 9 drill pads, and we'll look at that as we move forward. We're actually entering all of the data from that Glamorgan target into the verify process as well, and so that will also go through the AI ranking process, so that when we put the drills in, we're going after the most prospective targets first. And importantly there is that epithermals only run generally around 300 or 400 meters deep, and we see that with Wharekirauponga next door. They're long and wide, and they're fairly shallow, so we're only going to be doing two 200-meter holes to begin with, which is very efficient, very cost effective, and we can drill anywhere with the 9 pads we've got. We could drill up to about 20,000 meters. We haven't got all that planned out at this stage, but between now and November is really what the geology team are going to be doing about ranking and then doing the exact drill plans for these.
Yeah, the important piece of the puzzle, of course, with exploration is money, and you are covered here. You recently closed private placement of almost $14 million. If I'm not mistaken, 13.88 million. That is actually funding the exploration for the next 12 to 18 months, as I saw in the press release. How will you prioritize spending between Reefton and Glamorgan, and what key milestones should investors watch for?
Yeah, that was a really well-supported raise. We got a new 9.9% strategic shareholder out of the US that came on board, and so he led the raise, and the institutions followed up. And it's very rare for a company of our size. We're under 50 million market cap back then, and we're a bit above that now. But it's very rare to raise without warrants, and so that was a straight share raise. All of our raises have been straight shares, and importantly, management itself has tipped in a large amount of money. I think year to date, we've probably bought between private placements and on-market purchases. We'll be pushing over $3 million of money invested in this company. So we're very aligned to where we are right now with our shareholders. For the $14 million that we have in the bank, 12 of it is going to go into New Zealand. And so we have a really large allocation into the exploration program. 1 million is for G&A to keep the lights on and keep compliant in the markets. And then the other million is for marketing, because we really believe that you need to market your story and get it out there and get eyes on it. So we've got a healthy mix within the Glamorgan Reefton split. Because we're drilling now at Reefton, it does take the lion's share of the funds. But of that 12 million, approximately 8.5 will be going into Reefton and developing that resource and continue the exploration down there, and 3.5 up at Glamorgan as we start there in November with one drill rig.
Okay. Rob, what's your long-term vision of Rua Gold? Are you aiming to build a producing mine, partner with a major, or position for acquisition?
No, I mean, definitely in the Reefton district, we see ourselves as the mine builder there. We have done this before. I know a lot of people go into an exploration company and are very scared about them potentially becoming developers. That's our bread and butter. Myself, I've built the last 2 companies alongside Neil Woodger as the CEO. I was the CFO, and we build and buy strategy is how we actually move forward. Oliver Lennox-King, our chairman and our second biggest shareholder, he built Rua Gold from an explorer into a producer, into a multi-asset producer before selling it. So we've got the depth in our team to really build this mine. And I'll add the fact that this isn't a $1 billion build project. The areas we're going after are really high grade. We're talking intercepts of 20 grams a ton plus. And so when you have really high grade, your capex footprint is much smaller. You don't need as much throughput. And so our estimated capex at this early stage is circa around 150 million US, which is very doable for a company of our size. We're not looking at building the next $1 billion project. I do think that's ambitious for small explorers to take off, but for 150 million, we know we can equity and debt and stream and offtake finance that very easily with the right mix. And so that's really our plan for Reefton. And there's so much prospective land left at Reefton that we can see it being another 20-year mine. And so we're really excited for that, for New Zealand, for Reefton, for our shareholders. We think long life mines are so good for the regional communities there. And so we're excited about what we can bring.
Yeah, Rob, what about M&A? Are we open for M&A?
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I mean, I've worked the last 10 years, I've worked under Neil Woodger, and he always has a keen eye on M&A. And I probably wouldn't have executed the takeover we did last year to take over the Reefton district if I didn't have that M&A training. And so definitely have a keen eye on M&A. We are New Zealand focused though, so we're not going to suddenly move up to Papua New Guinea because we see a beautiful epithermal up there. We're very New Zealand focused, and we want to be the next New Zealand gold producer. And so for the right opportunity, and there is some interesting opportunities in New Zealand right now, between developers, explorers, etc. That there's a few new entrants that we can look at partnering with, and there's always an option to go down that route as well.
Quick return to the recent raise. How hard is for a junior company hard to raise? Is it hard to raise money today?
Yeah, I mean, definitely. You're still sitting in a saturated market of projects, and especially in the gold space. So I say, generally speaking, for a junior explorer, it's really hard. And I know there's this stigma of lifestyle CEOs of junior miners and things like that, and that definitely exists. But I think all in all, a lot of guys are out there trying to do the right thing. I'm sitting with you at 6 a.m. chatting to you to get this moving forward and get the story out there. It's not always what the industry perceives it. I'm really lucky in the sense that one, we have a really good project. Two, we have a management team and board that has done this multiple times over. So we're really strongly institutionally backed. And so my job is actually made a lot easier because of the past successes we've had. Uh, and three, the project is just very appealing. You can see this pathway, you can see the past production, and you can tell the story quite easily on our one. But generally speaking, I think it's a tough market to be in.
Agreed, and kudos to you. You are one of the rare CEOs that I am interviewing in 6 a.m. So really, great stuff. You mentioned team. Who is on your team, and do you need to fill more roles on your board as the project develops?
I think our board will go through a natural succession as the project goes from a junior explorer into a developer into a producer, and I think that's healthy for a board to evolve as that time goes on. Right now, our board is led by Oliver Lennox King, and he is an amazing sort of chairman to have at the top. He writes big checks into these financings. He's written over $2 million into the company this year, and so he really believes in the story. And has a long view of how this comes together. He's not watching the share price on a day to day. He really sees what we're doing in terms of value creation, and he's patient for us to execute on that. So that's a really good support. Paul Criddle is the other key guy here. He is currently the executive at Capricorn Metals. It's an Australian $5 billion gold producer. This is his only director role, and I'll add that none of our directors take any cash salary. They're all just in it for some quarterly DSUs that they get, and so they're all invested with us. And when you're the chairman of when you're an executive of $5 billion company, you're not just sitting on our little company for fun. You really see the development potential. And Paul has built 5 mines on time, under budget, through Australia and West Africa. So he's got an amazing expertise and an amazing Rolodex of how this comes together. And then finally, our capital markets pros are Aaron Breitenbach and Mario Vetro, and each have a different aspect of capital markets. Tyron is very institutionally connected and has a really good Rolodex, and he comes from an investment banking background. And then Mario is much better at the retail investors and the marketing side of the business and directs me on that. And so a very balanced board in that sense. And then finally, the jewel in it all is our management team of Zenat and Simon, and both bring great expertise. Zenat she's our CFO on a fractional basis, and she just came out of Great Bear, one of the most successful exploration stories on the market. And finally, Simon Henderson is the salt of the earth geologist, lives in New Zealand, has been there for all his life and lives and breathes the rocks down there, knows the communities, knows the stakeholders, and I'd be lost without him. It's easy for me to sit up here in Vancouver and tell the story and manage the capital markets and the money raising, because I know Simon, who has over 50 years experience in geology, is down there running the program and doing such a good job at it.
Okay, before I let you go, a few comments on the jurisdiction on New Zealand. New Zealand fast-tracking permitting process now allows mine approvals in just 6 months. That is excellent, as we know. How is your company leveraging this to accelerate the projects? And my question: what challenges remain in the execution?
Yeah, New Zealand is an unknown jurisdiction, and that's the advantage or the sort of alpha that your viewers can find, and that's where you find your shareholder returns. If you can find alpha that no one else knows about, and no one knows about this New Zealand jurisdiction for mining, and so this is what I need to get out there. This is the story of New Zealand is doing things that the rest of the world are trying to follow and aren't executing on right now. And so, yeah, you can get a mine permit in 6 months. They've got a brand new critical minerals list that got announced in January that includes gold as a critical mineral and antimony. And so we've got two critical minerals on our property. And then we've got the New Zealand Mines Minister. He was up there with me at PDAC. He was promoting New Zealand to the North American investors. He said, we're open for business. You don't have to worry about your mines being taken or anything happening in New Zealand. We're in a good jurisdiction. We've got a skilled labor force. And so it's got everything going for it. Infrastructure, the labor force, the permitting timeliness. It really is a good spot to be. There is obviously still challenges, and we still need to go through the process. We're always going to be underground miners. We still see the population, the communities that we have to work with. I don't think a lot of them, I don't think, want open cast mining or open pit mining. And so that's where we go after these really high grade targets. We believe that New Zealand is perfectly suited for underground mining, and that's what we focus on. We want underground development, high grade mines, and I think we'd be challenged if we had to start doing community stakeholder feedback and really looking at projects if you're doing open cast mining. I think you paint a different light on the mining industry there. So we're going light environmental footprint, and we're really working with our communities closely to make sure that we're not just getting the politicians happy and we're not just creating jobs and keeping that economic development, but we want to create good communities as well. And that's where long life, high grade underground mines are the key for that.
Yeah, okay, Robert, final question. What can investors expect in the terms of news flow for the second half of this year?
Sure, we're going from 2 rigs to 3 rigs right now, so we're going to have up increased cadence of exploration results. We're really targeting hard at one of our projects in Reefton called Old Creek. That one we already have a resource on, and we want to build it out to somewhere in the range of 300 to 500,000 ounces by the end of the year. So we're going to have 2 rigs going there, really pushing hard to get that moving. And then a third rig will be going out to our gold prospective targets at Cumberland and Alexander River. And they're really high grade gold targets that we want to find and uncover in the Reefton district. So short, it's exploration news results. I think also with our float so tight, we only have about 20% retail, and we, for the first 7 months this year, haven't spent much on marketing at all. So we're going to ramp up a bit more marketing, and I'm going to hit the road and do a lot more investor conferences. And so you're going to see a bit more interest in the stock, and you're going to see newsletter writers following us. A couple of other newsletter writers have started writing us up, and that always, I think, is good for the retail crowd to actually see an independent third party. These are non-paid newsletter writers, so independent third parties actually writing us up and agreeing that it's a good opportunity to get into the story.
I wish you luck going forward. That was Robert Eckford, CEO for Rua Gold. Robert, thank you very much for joining me today.
Thanks so much, Lucian.